so in love with you.
Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and FHA mortgages right now are absolutely exploding with delinquencies. So today we're going to jump into everything foreclosure and default and delinquency and really get an overall picture about what's happening in the foreclosure market and what's happening with unaffordability with existing homeowners. This is an especially important set of data to look at because at the moment that we have a foreclosure explosion and crisis, in my opinion, that's going to add to the already crippled housing market price decline. So I believe it's actually possible that we have a double whammy of price declines again when that foreclosure bubble pops. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor, even though my bio is as a realtor, loan officer, and instructor in real estate in Texas. So I love real estate a whole bunch. And if you guys can, while I'm rambling, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and shoot me a comment below. But regardless, you guys, we're going to jump into a Black Knight report right now that's going to summarize and go over what happened in March of 2023. Now, real quick before I do that, let's take a look at Fred Economic Data's median sales price of houses sold in the United States based on a frequency of quarterly valuation. And as you guys can see here, this updated April 25th, and it shows continued price decline. So I'm sorry, everyone, but this chart will not be showing the bottom of the housing market. Now, the name of this article is Black Knight's First Look at March 2023 Mortgage Data. Mortgage delinquencies hit record low in March. Okay, so that is a reality, you guys. Overall, it hit a record low in March. But as we go through this video and we start digging even deeper, I'm going to show you guys what has not hit record low. And in fact, the delinquencies in FHA mortgages right now are as bad as they were in 2013. Covering a few bullet points in this article, the national delinquency rate dropped 53 basis points or 15% in March, falling below 3% for the first time on record, ending the month at just 2.92%. That is absolutely astonishing, you guys. Now, while delinquency rates almost always fall in March, as borrowers utilize their tax refunds, and I believe that same utilization or wasting of money for tax refunds is also why we see a temporary dead cat bounce in the housing market right now. I believe it's a dead cat bounce, again, utilizing tax refunds, and we still have an incredibly hot labor market. And I'm going to show you guys that in a minute. Unemployment actually went down, which is astonishing if you really think about it. Now, moving back into the article, factoring in March's decline, the total number of past due mortgages, including active foreclosures, has fallen. What has fallen to the lowest level in nearly 23 years, dating all the way back to April 2000. That is an astonishing set of data. Again, though, when I started digging deeper, I found a smoking gun. Now, serious delinquency, or the biggest group at risk of foreclosure, showed marked improvement. It's important to know that, falling by 51,000 to their lowest level since March 2020, with volumes shrinking in every state, which is normal. I just want to let you guys know that. It's normal, but it's still pretty astonishing. Again, you guys, anyone that purchased prior to 2022 has more than likely a low interest rate and a whole bunch of equity. It's the people that purchased 2022 and after that are the biggest at risk, and foreclosure takes time. And that's what we see here. Unfortunately, there wasn't good news for everyone, as both foreclosure starts and sales, the worst of it, rose in the month, but still remain well below pre-pandemic volumes at the national level. So foreclosure starts and foreclosure sales have actually increased despite everything else decreasing. Active foreclosure inventory held steady but remains 31,000 or 12% below March 2020 levels. Very fascinating stuff going on in the foreclosure department. So here's our updated chart. This is what we're going to go over right now. Starting with the first row, this is the total delinquency rate. So right now, almost 3% of all households with a mortgage are currently delinquent. This is astonishing. This is a month-over-month change of negative 15.23%. That's really good, right? Because I keep telling you guys this, we don't want to have inventory in the housing market to reset by people going into foreclosure. It's a really horrible nightmare process, and we shouldn't wish that on people. but this is just the data, right? But that has gotten better. Now, unfortunately, total US foreclosure pre-sale inventory actually rose slightly month over month, but year over year, it's up 13%, as you can see. That is at 0.46%, so half a point, right? Now, also, unfortunately, total US foreclosure starts went up almost 10%. So foreclosure starts month over month went up 9.03% toward a total of 32,000 additional homes that are about to be sold. Now, total foreclosure sales also went up 4.5% month over month, but foreclosure sales are up 25% year over year. So it's great the delinquency rates are going down. Unfortunately, the actual foreclosures are going up in a month where they traditionally go down. Again, in a month where they traditionally go down, like everything else, they're actually going up. Interesting, don't you think? Now, number of properties that are delinquent, not counting foreclosure, this is astonishing. It's now 1.5 million. The astonishing thing is this, that's down month over month. This is crazy. 272,000 households are no longer delinquent. Isn't that insane, you guys? So that's the power of excess money. So the article is pointing out that the predominant amount of people in that 272,000 more than likely got out of delinquency status as a result of the money they got from their tax return. That's a crazy number because what it shows me is that's a lot of people that are living paycheck to paycheck. Because if they can only get out of delinquency when they got their refund check, that means they couldn't get out of delinquency before that. So unaffordability is the name of the game. Now moving on, number of properties, and this is important, number of properties 90 days or more past due or serious delinquency dropped 51,000. That's huge, you guys. However, a majority of this, that doesn't mean that they got out of delinquency. A majority of this 51,000 right here went to foreclosure starts. So even though it appears delinquencies are way down, one of the reasons is because a lot of this 51,000 went to the next stage of foreclosure. Do y'all see that right here? That's why total foreclosure starts is actually up 9%. So again, you really, really got to dig into the data to really understand what's happening. And since we've been covering this for the last year, it's a lot easier for us to do that. Now, number of properties in foreclosure, pre-foreclosure inventory is 240,000, once again remaining unchanged. Pretty crazy, actually. Now, number of properties that are 30 days or more past due or in foreclosure, 1.77 million, a huge drop of 250,000 people. So again, really, really astonishing. Now, again, most of this drop here is not serious delinquency. If you match this number to the top number, we can see that 272,000 is from 30 days or less. People that are past 30 days or less, not looking good. Even though, again, the delinquency rate is down, the foreclosure starts are up, and that's the next stage of the process. I hope that makes sense to you guys because this data can get really confusing. All right, moving on to the top 5 states by non-current percentage. Top 5 states, the usual suspects. Looks like actually Pennsylvania surging up there, but number 1 state right now in delinquency is Mississippi at an astonishing 7% delinquency rate. But here's what's interesting. If we look at their peak delinquency rate was actually back in 2005, and it peaked at 23%. That is a monster number right there. Now, number 2 is Louisiana. Louisiana's at 6.61%. It peaked at 30% in 2005. And we didn't even have the foreclosure crisis really didn't start to 2007. And yet so many people, including myself, missed the crisis last time. But now we have a lot more data and a lot more ability to give it to the public. Now, Alabama's number 3 at 5.13%. Now, they peaked at 14% back in 2010. West Virginia also peaked at 14% back in 2010. They're sitting at 4.5%. Followed by Pennsylvania, a little bit of a surprise, 4.5% there, and they peaked in 2010 as well, which was at 12.5%. Now, arguably, the worst year of foreclosure was in 2010. You can argue it was in 2009, but 2010 was the worst year of foreclosure from a statistical basis. Now, the bottom 5 states, which is a huge stalker, mostly West Coast, this is probably a result of certain plans that eliminate foreclosure or eviction and things of that nature. Starting with Colorado. Colorado's only at 1.8%. 2%. Then Washington, Idaho, Montana, California is at number 5. Shockingly, only 2%. Now, California actually peaked at 16% back in February of 2010. So again, 2010, worst year of foreclosure. And that was what, 3 years after the crisis hit. So again, 3 years after the crisis hit, worst foreclosure. And I think that's going to happen now. I think we're going to continue our crisis. Foreclosure hits, prolongs the crisis. Now, here's the top 5 states at serious delinquency. Now, all of the usual suspects, except we're adding Georgia on here. So Georgia's at 1.3%. Really crazy, you guys. Number 1's Mississippi, of course, at 2.3%. They peaked again at 10.4 in 2005. Really interesting to see the 2005 stuff here. Now, Arkansas is also on this. They peaked in 2021. So really, really interesting to see how this changes. Now, this is an interesting set of data. This is the top 5 states by 12-month change in non-current percentage. Alaska's number 1. Alaska's surging, you guys, at a change of 28.18%. Really, really crazy to see that. Also, New Jersey and New York is on that list. Vermont, Connecticut are all surging with non-current percentages. Really, really interesting to see this happen. So I would say overall, on surface and on paper, those stats were really, really good as far as the bare minimum of delinquency, 30 days or more. The 30 days or more, stellar, right? A lot of people got out of that. However, when we look deeper, a lot of those people that were in serious delinquency could not get out of serious delinquency and are now at the next stage of foreclosure. And that is why the serious delinquencies look and appear that they're actually going down. There's no doubt the actual overall rate of delinquency is historically low, but when we dig deeper and we analyze just FHA loans, we can see that FHA loans right now are skyrocketing in delinquencies. In fact, they have not had this pattern of delinquency since 2013. And the delinquency rate right now and over the last 4 months for FHA, 10%. 1 out of every 10 people with an FHA mortgage for the last 4 months has been delinquent. Shocking. Look at this chart. All right, guys, and here's our chart right here. Delinquency rate by investor product. This has VA, FHA, private portfolio, GSE. And I just want to look at FHA. That's the light blue line right here. And if you can see, this is where we're at with FHA. It's over that 10% line right there. You can see that. Now, the last time we've had 4 consecutive months of FHA delinquency being over 10% was actually way over here in 2013, which is not a record low. That's actually a decade high. So even though all this other stuff record low, we have a decade high of delinquency rates and FHA mortgages. Isn't that interesting to think about, you guys? To me, it's very interesting because it's starting to paint a different picture. It's starting to allow us to continue to read the writing on the wall. But that's not all, you guys. Let's look at the health of consumers. And I want to mention this before I really dig in. I'm going to go into credit cards, auto loans, delinquency rate, and savings rate. Right now, you guys, as far as the credit crunch as a result of all of these bank runs, credit tightening is already happening. We already have a crisis happening in commercial real estate. A credit tightening nightmare is also happening right now in used cars because the default rate for used cars right now is absolutely exploding. Another systematic failure. But let's jump into the data. This is FHA economic data, consumer loans or credit card debt. So this is all of the credit card debt that consumers have. This was updated on April 21st. And we can see here, guys, this is the 5-year view. It's gone up. It's still going up. Now it's plateaued a little bit, probably a result of credit tightening. I don't know, but it has shot up. And if you look where we were at from the low, which was in 2021, look at how this has just skyrocketed. That's insane. We got all this money printed. People are like, yeah, let's do the right thing. Let's pay off our debt. And then they're like, actually, we want to buy things. And then boom, look at this. Straight run up upward. And if more and more people start defaulting on their credit cards, that means more and more credit tightening. We are very, very close to 1 trillion. We still haven't hit the 1 trillion. We're at $976 billion in consumer credit card debt. So now we have the FHA economic data, motor vehicle loans owned, okay? As you guys can see, this is just straight up. I mean, this is just skyrocketed up. There have never been so many vehicle loans or overpriced vehicles. There's a lot of people that purchased a car and they have $1,000 payment. Think about it, on a 6-year term, a 6 or 7 year term, $1,000 payment. Are you kidding me? A lot of people are like that, but look at this, guys. We are at almost 1.5 trillion. We're at 1.41 trillion dollars right now in auto debt. And I can tell you right now, the delinquency rate in auto and default rate in auto loans right now, shocking and very scary. Now, this is a delinquency rate on credit cards. And unfortunately, you guys, this updates every quarter. So we're not going to have an update probably until mid-month as far as the updated delinquency rates, but we can already see it go up. Okay, so this is already going up. More than likely when this updates next, that's going to be shooting up as well. So let's keep our eye on the actual delinquency rate. But again, we can already see it's starting to shoot up. We haven't had an update basically in almost 4 months. So that's a sign of what was happening 4 months ago. Now this chart here is the personal savings rate. Again, this is from Fred. This is not excess savings. This is not telling us how much money people have saved. Right now, it's estimated that there's still about 40% of excess savings left. So the fact that 60% is already gone in 1 year, wow, right? Shocking, shocking stuff. But this is important, y'all, because this is showing us that people cannot save. Things are so unaffordable that they cannot get the savings rate back up to where it was pre-pandemic, which is 89%. So we're not quite, but about half of where we were pre-pandemic. And again, you can't save money if you can barely afford to live. Now, one thing I'm not going to cover in this video is the fact that school loans are about to start. And also, I'm not going to go into the fact that there was almost 1 million evictions in 2022, and the evictions are also skyrocketing. Evictions continue to skyrocket. There's going to be a lot less investor demand, and there's going to be a lot more investors that are selling their homes because they don't want to lose money anymore. So a lot of very, very interesting things are happening. And this is what I'm saying, guys. Probably right now, what we're seeing is a dead cat bounce. And I strongly believe that the longer that we wait, the better deal that we will get. But regardless, let's not use our emotions to find the deal. Let's use the data to find the deal. Now, other than that, guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you guys got some new insights, value, and perspective. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you know I wish you luck and I hope you win.